All right, welcome to the Coffee with a Geek show. This is my August issue, my second August issue. I had Mark Drollinger on as well this week, and my goal is really have two folks present each month, so I'm really excited. My guest today is my first guest outside of Western New York. As you know, if you've been following my Coffee with a Geek show, we've been pretty much sticking local to Western New York. But I thought I'd branch out a little bit, and I was really excited, and I came across Kasey's work really on Twitter, which led me to her blog, which really exploded the possibilities for me, and I got in touch with her, and she was really nice to be a part of this. So let me just give the Reader's Digest version of who Kasey Bell is, and she is an instructional technology consultant for the Region 10 Education Service Center in Dallas, Texas, or near Dallas, Texas. So for those New York folks, it's similar to our BOCES, the way we work as well. Kasey's been doing presentations, keynote presentations, specializing in technology integration. She also is an authorized Google education trainer. She's also part of doing presentations for TCEA, which is, I believe, an ISTE affiliate or an EdTech affiliate in New York, similar to our NICE-Gate. And I could keep reading and reading and reading, but maybe, Kasey, you can hit on some of the other things you're doing, like your EdCamp organizers and that sort of thing. But first of all, just welcome, Kasey, and thank you so much for taking the time out of your day.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great. Let me just start off with the easy, maybe somewhat easy question, and that is, I'm from New York, you're from Texas, so we were on kind of polar sides of the United States. Can you tell us the climate of EdTech in Texas?
Well, you know, we like to do things big in Texas, right? I think we have a really great EdTech climate right now in Texas. We have some amazing educational leaders that are actually influencing across the globe. Some of my friends, even Amber Tiemann and Matt Gomez and Lisa Johnson. You know, if you explore any of the bigger conferences and things, you're always going to see someone from Texas, so that makes me proud. I think that EdCamps have taken off like wildfire across the state of Texas as well. Everyone is wanting to jump in and give that a try. And the other thing that is really taking off right now is Google. And the demand for Google right now in school districts is just skyrocketing, and I'm happy to be part of that and see that happen. In fact, right now, I would say it's becoming more, who are the districts that haven't gone Google, as opposed to the ones who are right now. I think it's becoming more expected and demanded. So I definitely think Texas is hanging in there.
Well, that's interesting. I think just from my experience in our region, we're just kind of dipping our toes into Google right now. So it's interesting to see that it's really taken a stronghold, I guess, in Texas, if I'm hearing you right.
Yeah, absolutely. At least with the districts that I work with, and I would definitely say in North Texas and Central Texas especially.
Say a little bit more about Google camps or EdTech camps, I guess, is what you were saying. We're familiar with kind of the young conference. Is it the same kind of thing or different?
Yes. EdCamp, I'm part of EdCamp Awesome, which is another EdCamp that we do sort of on the northeast side of the area, but we have had so much demand. Have you attended an EdCamp before yourself?
I've done an unconference, if it's the same thing.
Where you go and there's no schedule?
Yes. So yes, I have.
Yes, same idea. And you know, I went to my first one and I was hooked. It's like I have to get involved in this, and it's amazing because it is participant driven, which I'm sure you understand that concept, and it sort of levels that playing field between the presenter and the participants, where it's not who's walking around with their special little presenter badge and who's a participant, because anyone can be a leader in that setting, and you know, you're encouraged to vote with your feet. So if you go to something that you don't like, go find something else. And you know, a lot of times in the other types of conferences that we go to, you know, people get looked at, you know, you don't want to make any noise, and so oftentimes you're sort of stuck when you end up at a conference and there's nothing that you want to go to. So this way, it's just really becoming a very popular way to deliver professional development. And I think professional development in general needs a bit of a shakeup. I think, the sit and get method should be questioned when we're telling teachers not to do that in the classroom. Why are we still doing that in terms of what we're delivering for professional learning for our teachers? So, I just feel like we need to be modeling more of those strategies in PD. So I'm a big fan of EdCamp and a big fan of Kristen Swanson, who's an EdCamp founder as well.
Do you think you bring up kind of an interesting point with the sit and get kind of strategy, and I know that that's my fallback as well. And do you think maybe that's why education sometimes doesn't embrace some of the more empowering technologies, is because of that kind of comfort zone of still being sage on the stage, desks in rows kind of thing?
I think partially it can be that, and especially in the secondary level, I see that a lot more. But in terms of top down, what's expected, and sort of we don't have enough time to do anything differently. We get these 3 days before school starts, and we've got to do this, this, and this. There's no other way to do it, and so I think people feel like they're in that box and they can't get out of it. And so, sometimes the mandates from the different, administrators and superintendents, whatever they have going on in their school districts, sort of make some of that difficult. And, you're only given so many days within the school year, at least around Texas. That's the climate I see. But there's definitely some that are willing to try some new methods and opening up. There's a lot of school districts actually sort of hosting their own ed camps for their teachers and things like that. But I had a post on my blog a few months ago called Hack PD, and that was sort of my mission, that I want to, and not that I am by any means an expert at doing this, but I want to find ways of doing this, because oftentimes what I'm called to do is come present. And when you present, that means everybody else is usually, sitting and listening. And but I definitely want to open up those doors to offer more interactivity and other ways to be more of a facilitator than a presenter.
Nicely said, and agreed. Let's talk about your blog, because, well, and maybe just your social media presence in general, because that's what really, again, I came across you on Twitter. I was like, wow, I was really amazed that the stuff you had out there, first of all, was quality. It was also free, and it was really inspiring, for lack of a better term. And I think that's what I love about interviewing people like yourself, is the inspiring place. So tell us about maybe your EdTech journey. How did you wind your way to producing some really great social media posts, as well as a really great blog for teachers?
Oh, thank you, by the way. I really appreciate that. I only started the blog in January, and so I'm about 8.5 months in, maybe. I think it started towards the end of January. And it has changed my world. It has changed who I'm connected with, and has opened a lot of doors, which I am extremely grateful for. But I have started and stopped blogs several times. I go into classrooms and I'm showing teachers how to blog, how to use it, but I wasn't doing it myself. And so that was sort of where I was like, what, if I'm talking this game, then I need to be in this. I need to be doing this myself. So I wanted to be a model for teachers in a way that they could use a blog, and to offer useful tips and ways to make a teacher's life easier. It is not easy being a classroom teacher, and I want to find ways that they can understand and utilize digital tools that not only make things easier in the classroom, but also engage those students in their classroom. So my very first blog post, I don't know if you dug in that far back, but was called "A Perfectionist with Paralysis." And that was really what was holding me back, is that I wanted my blog to be on day one, like edudemic or something awesome. Like, there's no way on day one it's going to look that way. But you know, I have worked very hard to make it what I want it to be. It's still nowhere near what my expectations are of myself. But that's sort of, you know, I was like, you know what? If I'm telling teachers to take risks, I need to take a risk. And so that was really what that first post was. I'm like, okay, I'm out there. I'm doing this. I'm taking the risk, and I'm going to see what I can do. And so that's really how it evolved, the blog itself.
Maybe a follow-up on that. For that teacher that's, you know, on that maybe paralysis end of things, what are some recommendations for you just to get up and running that's not going to be overwhelming, and maybe some, you know, quick and easy tips from someone who's on their way?
Well, one of the things that was holding me back is getting too geeked out. That I wanted to, you know, have this fancy WordPress theme, and I mean, I purchased a WordPress theme. I was working on doing all these things, and it was becoming too technical. I didn't have the time to do that side of it, and so I went with Weebly. And so it is so, you know, click and drag, type in the box, and you're done. It is so simple and so easy. So it's definitely a tool that I would recommend for teachers. And there is a Weebly for Education account. So I've found that to be extremely helpful, and I sort of had to let go of some of those extra things that I wanted to do initially, and find ways to do it with a different tool that I had time to manage. And you know, initially I just set a goal. I was going to post once a week, and I have stuck to that, and and now feeling like I need, you know, to do 2 or 3 posts a week. But I think just goal setting and having an expectation, okay, on this day I'm going to start drafting my blog post. Keeping a list of ideas has really helped me. I just keep like a general list of different ideas that I want to add to the blog. And a lot of times it comes out of my experience in the field with teachers when they ask a question like, you know what, that would make a great blog post, because teachers ask me that all the time. So that's often where things come from. And you know, and I'll have teachers like, oh, you know what, you should really make a cheat sheet on this idea. And so I'll pull teachers from that, but I try to make it as practical as I possibly can. But for teachers, it is stepping outside and taking a risk by putting themselves out there. But they have many different approaches in terms of, is this going to be their blog, personal blog, a classroom blog to communicate with parents and teachers? Are they going to let students add to the blog as well? So I think there's some different levels of involvement that you can see. But I have seen kindergartners blogging, so you know, no doubt any classroom teacher can do this with their students.
As far as, I think one of the, I guess, questions that would come up, and it comes up with me as well, is finding time. Do you set a specific time frame, and are some blog posts a little heavier and take more time? How do you manage that time aspect if your goal is to do it once a week? I mean, is this a nighttime, 9 o'clock from 10 o'clock kind of thing? Because it is for me.
Oftentimes it's the weekends where a bulk of the work gets done, but surprisingly, some posts don't take that long. You know, it all depends. Now, I like to make images and things to go along with the post, so sometimes I get a little carried away, and that's more of just my own personality and wanting to do those types of things. But you know, everything doesn't have to be a masterpiece. I think that was part of my learning curve as well, that yeah, you know what, I'm going to catch some mistakes, and I proofread, you know, but I think the blogging world, you know, can be very forgiving. They can also be very critical of each other, and that's just sort of a warning. But you know, the critics are out there. There's always someone who wants to criticize you, but just to stay focused on what your purpose is, and trying to help your students or help your teachers or help your parents. And, did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, very well. And I guess you actually added another kind of angle to it, which is, others commenting. As far as your posts and thinking about your audience, I mean, do you try and stay, down the middle as far as, too controversial topics, or do you try to shake things up?
Well, for the most part, I have been pretty down the middle. I don't typically post a lot of just like personal rants on what there's a problem with this. I don't really want to go negative, and I've had a few negative comments on the blog before, and so I just try to take it in stride and not jump into any kind of argument. That goes against the whole purpose to me of what I'm trying to do. I'm not out there to argue with anyone. I just want to do things that are helpful, and so that really is my goal. And sometimes they're more helpful to more advanced users, and sometimes they're more helpful to beginners. I think I have a little bit of a range, but I'm definitely open to suggestions as well. And if people are watching and they're looking for certain resources that they can't find, I would love to have some ideas for new topics in ways that I can help teachers.
Okay, final kind of question about your blog is, it's titled Shakeup Learning. Your Twitter handle is Shakeup Learning. Tell us about where you came up with that title, and what does it mean to you?
Well, a few years ago when I decided to stop being a lurker on Twitter, actually I call them stalkers. I don't call them, everybody else calls them a lurker. I'm like, just call it what it is. You're stalking on Twitter. You're just watching a feed. That's what it is. But it's like, okay, I'm gonna start contributing. I felt like, okay, and I didn't really want it to be about my name and who I was. I wanted it to be about what I was trying to do. So I didn't want to just put, at Kasey Bell. I wanted it to be more about classroom application and shaking things up. And then my tagline is to be disruptive and to shake things up. So, that's what I'm all about. I want to find different ways to approach things. I can hardly ever do anything myself the same way twice. I'm constantly wanting to change. I'm a person who embraces change. And so I feel like that there are so many different ways to do things in the classroom, and that getting rid of the twatty, that's the way we always do it, mentality. So so I went with Shakeup Learning, and that was my Twitter handle for a while before I ever started the blog. And I sort of debated when I started the blog, did I want to change the name, but I kind of felt like I was too invested. It is a little longer than I probably would like for a Twitter handle, but it works, and now that's how everybody knows me, and that's also why I choose to use an avatar instead of myself. I want to be sort of branded more by what I represent than just me personally, because I use it professionally as opposed to personally.
What did you use to create the avatar? It's a great little creation.
Oh, actually, I did not create it. I found it in some clip art and purchased it.
Oh.
Yes. I had an old, weird avatar for a while and got really tired of it. And when I wanted to start the blog, that was part of it. Was like, I need something fresh. And so I dug into iStock or one of those and found it in there. And it seemed to represent what I wanted and had a little Judy Jetson feel to it.
Exactly. It's great. It works well.
Thank you.
It looks like you're a fan of Google educational tools. So tell me about your fandom with Google. I'm a Google fan too, and maybe you're not a Google fan, but can you tell us a little bit about how you're using Google and what do you think about it?
Yes, I absolutely am a Google fan. I'm an authorized Google trainer, so I have spent quite a bit of time honing my skills to get that and presenting and doing workshops and things around the area in terms of Google. But I don't see how anyone can ignore it anymore, honestly, that it's such an amazing suite of tools that are collaborative. You can synchronously edit at the same time, one login. I can work on multiple devices. I don't see any others really that can compete at that level. There's really nothing else that does what Google does and does it for free. So, to ignore such a powerful suite of tools, especially for the classroom, would just be, such a travesty to not try to leverage these tools. And so that's why, I'm a big fan of Google Apps for Education. You can set up these tools and use them in your own walled garden, so to speak, of your district or your campus, and allow your students to use the tools that you give them permission to use. But collaboration is key, and they're really, I can't think of anything else that allows the level of collaboration that Google does. I work almost strictly through Google. All of my files are in Google Drive. I think if I ever lost Google Drive, I would be in trouble. And honestly, when I do anything, it's like, okay, I'm going to start a Google Doc. Who's going to start the Google Doc? And we're going to share our notes, and you shared the show notes with me in a Google Doc, and that was very useful to me as well. So I'm definitely a big fan, and I'm very excited at where this is going to take our students for the future, and helping them get those skills that they need.
That blends right into my next question, which is, use your crystal ball. Where do you see educational technology? I mean, do you see the tablet generation hitting, or is that whatever fads you see or fads or trends you see on the horizon?
I don't see tablets going anywhere soon. I imagine they will change and adapt and probably do things that we can't even imagine. Just growing exponentially and probably becoming the mainstay for the classroom is to have some sort of tablet. However, I do see wearable technology and augmented reality really taking hold over the next few years, in terms of things like Google Glass and they'll having the watch or things like that. So instead of students walking in with a phone in their pocket, a computer in their pocket, as we call it, they're going to be wearing it. So how can we leverage that? And I see the augmented reality becoming the interactivity in the classroom. You can interact with your environment and not just with a screen. So I definitely see that becoming a big part of where educational technology can go, and I hope it can go that way.
Good answer. I'm not quite there yet with the augmented reality stuff, as much as I see the potential in it. But that's an interesting answer. Thanks. Who or what inspires you?
I think I'm most inspired by the teachers that I work with. I'm constantly inspired by the dedication that I see, and then I'm so inspired to be sort of a mentor and watch them grow in the classroom. And I teach some sort of long-term academies and institutes and things where I get to see teachers try new things, and when the light bulb goes off, that they get it, that they understand why technology tools are so important to our students. And so I really enjoy working with teachers and students. I miss being in the classroom and seeing students, so I'm inspired by students as well, and I love to get into classrooms when teachers invite me and interact with the kids, and I'm just constantly amazed at the different things that they can accomplish with the tools that they're given.
Anyone that you're following, say blog-wise, research-wise, ed-tech-wise? I'm sure you're following a lot of people, but anybody? That's a loaded question. I don't know.
Yes. Well, I have made a new connection over the last few months. Her name is Carrie Balcom, and she's in the Chicago area. Have you connected with her?
No. I'm going to look her up, though.
Her blog is heck awesome, and she's pretty heck awesome herself. She has been a really great addition to my personal learning network, and it's been so amazing connecting with educators across the globe, even, and I will say, I feel like I get more out of Google Plus than I do out of Twitter. Just, yeah, I can't even tell you how many communities I'm a part of. It's kind of insane, but being being able to interact, it just gives you a different level of interaction than you can really get in your 140 characters, and it's more visual. So I am a huge fan of Google Plus and using that, but I have connected with some great educators locally as well. Amber Tiemann is an assistant principal in one of our school districts over here, and she's amazing. She presents all over the U.S. as well. She's a great digital leader. And in terms of trying to get administration on board, she's my go-to. Like how do we convince, principals, campus principals that this is the way to go? And so I love connecting with her. And Matt Gomez is another teacher locally. He's a kindergarten teacher, and he does some amazing things with one iPad in his classroom. And he shares, he has a great blog as well, Matt B. Gomez. And so shout outs to all of them. They have definitely been big influences in my life, my work life especially.
Well, thanks for that, and thanks again because you brought kind of a Texas flavor to it, so you would come into contact with, and again, that's what we were talking about before I hit go live, is that I really want just the general public to see all the amazing teachers that I think we probably walk past in the supermarket all of the time, and yet their talent is, I mean, these people have just so much talent that I think goes unrecognized, so I like that local connection.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think we've somewhat already covered this last question, but I'll throw it out there anyways. Do you think education is leading or following as it comes to ed tech, and solutions or proposals, either way?
I think it depends what piece you're talking about in terms of educational technology. One thing I am proud to be a part of is educators have dominated Twitter. And, Twitter has actually reported out that teachers have, I think at the time it was like nearly 4.5 million tweets per day by teachers, and I think that is impressive, and that also sort of shows the hunger they have for a different type of learning, and learning on their terms and when they have time, and sort of that, PD and your PJs idea, and the Twitter chats that have just sort of exploded. I can't even keep up with how many chats there are now for educators, and they might be local chats or global chats and things like that. So I do think, I think we're hanging in there, and that we're doing a great job with things like Twitter and social media. But in terms of what's in the classroom, no. And I would say that I don't think we're ever going to be on the cutting edge of what's in the classroom, and I think that's a good thing, because it needs to be planned and it needs to be purposeful in what we decide, to put in our classroom. Any district right now that's investing in smart boards and clickers, needs to take another look. And I'm surprised, that when I walk into some places that's what they're doing. That's what they're spending their money on, and they just don't know. They just don't know where the technology is going and what is the future of creating that student-centered learning environment. So, no, we're not going to have the latest and greatest, but and it also depends on the district, and budget cuts and funding are always issues, lack of resources and things like that. But there are plenty of districts doing innovative things with devices that are not brand new and don't do everything that the latest and greatest do. So, but I think we're doing a good job. I think we're hanging in there, but I don't think you're ever going to walk into a school and it be completely, unless it's owned by Google or something, that they have that, because we just don't operate on the same timetable, and purchases have to, be made so far in advance that I don't see that. But I think that's okay. I think we just need to be meaningful with what we do.
Yeah, you really made a kind of thought-provoking point when you said that educators dominate Twitter, and I never really thought about that, but it's so true, and that's such a powerful thing. And so maybe that's how I think that's a good sign that teachers are connected in that way and learning through that network.
And some teachers will even say that that's the best professional development that they've ever received. And that while that's great, at the same time, your heart breaks a little bit. And what can we do to get them something better? So.
Yeah, that's the challenge of our day, I guess. Okay, are you ready for the Speed Geek questions? I don't want to rush along, but I know that I did promise a half hour.
Sure.
So I have my little app, and I don't know if you've ever seen the Decide Now app, and I put a bunch of geeky questions on here. So you get 3 of them,
Okay.
and they're quick, easy, off the cuff, and have fun with them. So number 1 is, and a favorite comic book hero.
Oh, that would be the one. I don't have a favorite comic book hero. I really don't.
That's an uber geek question, I know.
I know. And, I guess I'll give you the girly answer and just say Wonder Woman because she's got the great outfit. So
there you go. Well, you could have picked the Jetsons. I thought maybe there was...
Oh, well, I don't know that I would call them a superhero, though.
True. Good point. Valid. Okay, our next one is Mac, PC, or Chromebook.
Oh, Mac. Yeah,
You threw me off with that one, being such a Google person.
Yeah, I am, but I also am surrounded by my Apple devices, so I'm a Mac girl too.
Okay, and the last one. And favorite social network. I think you've already answered it, but
yeah, Google Plus.
All right. Well, that's a great way to end it because I do love Google Plus, and I'm liking it more and more. I still have my fallback on Twitter, but I agree. Google Plus, I think, is taking over, and I like it. I'm starting to like it better than Facebook because you can do everything. You can do your professional communities and your personal stuff together.
Yeah. I'm not even on Facebook, and I haven't been in years.
Well, thank you so much, Kasey. I really appreciate this. You're really inspiring. You're doing such great work, and thank you so much for your time. And I'll keep looking, and Shakeup Learning is your blog and really your Twitter handle.
Yes,
and on Google Plus as well.
Yes.
So, thanks again, Kasey.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks. Bye-bye.